The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the usual condescension when humans were discussed. Ambassador Kai Chen sat motionless in his designated seat, hands folded, expression carefully neutral. The other species had learned to mistake his stillness for docility. The human delegation continues to surprise us with their compliance, Archon Velthor announced, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns. Perhaps the rumors of human aggression were greatly exaggerated. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Zarkathi clicked their mandibles in what passed for laughter among their kind. The Phyraxians rustled their feathered crests dismissively. Kai said nothing. He'd been playing this game for 3 standard cycles now, ever since humanity had been granted provisional membership in the Council. The older races viewed humans as newcomers, primitives who had barely crawled out of their gravity well. They expected gratitude, subservience, the eager-to-please attitude of a species desperate for acceptance. So Kai gave them exactly that. He smiled when they condescended. He nodded when they lectured. He agreed to trade deals that slightly favored the other party, building trust, building a reputation, building a mask. The real work happened in the corridors, in the informal gatherings where power actually flowed. That's where Kai learned which species truly held influence, which alliances were solid and which were performative, which treaties had teeth and which were merely decorative, and that's where he met Dr. Sarah Okonkwo. She was a xenobiologist, assigned to study the various species that comprised the Council. Brilliant, curious, and refreshingly direct in a place built on diplomatic doublespeak. They'd become friends quickly, 2 humans navigating an alien world, finding comfort in shared cultural references, and Earth coffee smuggled in their personal supplies. The session was drawing to a close when Sarah entered through the observation gallery entrance, tablet in hand. She was scheduled to present preliminary findings on Zarkathi biochemistry. Kai caught her eye and offered a subtle nod of encouragement. She'd barely made it halfway to the presentation platform when War Master Kreshtak intercepted her. The Zarkathi commander was twice Sarah's height, his exoskeleton gleaming obsidian black, mandibles clicking in what his species considered a friendly greeting. Kai tensed but didn't move, not yet. "The human scientist?" Kreshtak rumbled, his translator rendering his speech into flat mechanical tones. "Your research into our biology shows promise. But I wonder, do you truly understand what you study? Or do you merely play at science like a juvenile with toys?" Sarah's expression remained professional, though Kai saw the tightness around her eyes. "My credentials speak for themselves, War Master. I'd be happy to discuss my methodology." Kreshtak's claw shot out, gripping Sarah's upper arm. Not hard enough to injure, but firm enough to restrain, to demonstrate dominance. "Perhaps you need a more hands-on education in Zarkathi physiology." The chamber fell silent. Several species looked away. This was Zarkathi business, and they were a warrior race prone to such displays. The Council had long ago learned not to interfere in their cultural expressions. But Kai was already moving. He crossed the distance in seconds, his footfalls barely audible on the chamber floor. The mask he'd worn for 3 years dissolved like morning mist. "Remove your claw," Kai said, his voice carrying through the chamber with absolute clarity. No diplomatic softness now. No carefully modulated tone seeking compromise. Just iron wrapped in ice. Kreshtak's head swiveled toward him, compound eyes glittering with amusement. "The tame human speaks. How unexpected. This is not your concern, Ambassador. Return to—" "Touch her again," Kai interrupted, taking another step forward, "and see what happens." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Every species present possessed threat assessment capabilities honed by millions of years of evolution, and every single one of them suddenly recognized something they'd somehow missed for 3 years. Kai Chen was not tame. He had never been tame. He'd been patient. There's a difference between a creature that cannot fight and a creature that chooses not to. The former is harmless. The latter is simply waiting for a reason. Kreshtak had just provided one. The War Master released Sarah's arm, but his posture shifted to combat readiness. "You threaten me, human? I have killed warriors of a dozen species. I have commanded fleets. What are you but a diplomat who—" Kai moved. "Humans aren't the strongest species in the galaxy. They aren't the fastest or the most heavily armored. But they evolved as persistence hunters on a high-gravity world, and they carried certain advantages into space with them. Reaction time, pattern recognition. The ability to channel adrenaline into focused action rather than panic, and something else. Something the other species had never quite understood about humans. The capacity to shift from zero to absolute violence in the span of a heartbeat. Kai's strike targeted the joint where Kreshtak's claw met his arm, a vulnerability Sarah's research had identified just last week. The War Master staggered more from surprise than pain. Before he could recover, Kai had positioned himself between Sarah and the alien warrior, stance low, balanced, ready. In Earth's history, Kai said conversationally, though his eyes never left Kreshtak, we have a concept called speaking softly and carrying a big stick. For 3 years I've spoken very softly to this council. I've smiled. I've compromised. I've played the role you expected. He took 1 step forward. Kreshtak took 1 step back. Did you know, Kai continued, that humans are one of the only species to domesticate other predators? We turned wolves into companions. We made friends with creatures that once hunted us, not because we were weak, but because we were strong enough to show mercy. Another step forward, another step back. But we never forgot how to be the apex predator when necessary. We just chose not to be. That's not weakness, War Master. That's civilization. Archon Velthor's voice resonated through the chamber. Ambassador Chen, this is highly irregular. So is assaulting a scientist during a council session, Kai replied without looking away from Kreshtak. But I notice you didn't object to that irregularity. Silence. Then quietly, point taken. Kai finally allowed himself a smile. It was not a friendly expression. The War Master and I are going to have an understanding now. He's going to apologize to Dr. Okonkwo. He's going to ensure his warriors know that human personnel are not to be educated in Zarkathi customs without explicit consent. And in exchange, I'm going to forget this incident happened. And if I refuse? Kreshtak rumbled, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Then you'll learn another human concept, mutually assured destruction. If you think I can't hurt you, War Master, you're wrong. If you think I won't, you're dangerously mistaken. But if you think I can't make this cost you far more than your pride is worth, you're not as intelligent as your species claims to be. The standoff lasted 5 seconds that felt like 5 hours. Then Kreshtak's mandibles clicked in what might have been respect. My apologies, Dr. Okonkwo. Your work is valued by the council. Sarah nodded, accepting without comment. As Kreshtak retreated to his delegation section, Kai remained standing, letting the moment breathe. When he finally returned to his seat, he caught the eyes of every major power broker in the chamber. The message was clear. Reevaluate your assumptions about humanity. Later, in the quiet of the human delegation's quarters, Sarah poured 2 glasses of smuggled whiskey. You just destroyed 3 years of diplomatic groundwork. No, Kai replied, accepting the glass. I completed it. They needed to see we could be partners. But partners negotiate from respect, not from pity. Today they learned we're not cubs to be trained. We're wolves who chose to join the pack. And if they decide wolves are too dangerous to keep around, Kai smiled, and this time it was genuine. Then they'll learn why humans survived when stronger species went extinct. We don't have the biggest claws or the thickest armor, but we have something better. What's that? We remember, we adapt, and we never ever give up. Sarah raised her glass. To civilization, then. To civilization, Kai agreed. And to knowing when to growl. The next day, the council approved humanity's transition from provisional to full membership. The vote was unanimous.